Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Tim's News Explosion. We are live always on the Wilmsfront YouTube and D-Live channels, as well as the interactive entropy software, which I've put the link into the live chat, so you can ask all of us tonight questions, or even better yet, send through a super chat. Today is Monday, the 22nd of November, 2021. It is just after 8:30 p.m. here in Melbourne, Victoria. And as I outlined in the description, it's not just going to be myself, Tim, as part of this week's Tim's News Explosion. I'm going to be joined in a moment by my producer, Margo Huss, and a little later, filmer Andy Nolch for a Melbourne Worldwide Freedom Rally debrief, because it was especially incredible day in Melbourne on Saturday, but also all around the country. This was the crowd estimate by Rod Cullerton's Great Australia Party on Facebook. So they estimated, well, my estimate was about quarter of a million to 500,000 through the streets of Melbourne. It was quite the, as I said, it was a phenomenal crowd. This is an aerial drone footage here. So that was just the aerial drone footage from where the marchers gathered after marching from Parliament House to Flagstaff Gardens. Sydney also had a huge rally with 150 to 200,000 there. Brisbane, 150,000. Perth, well, it was actually once people had seen the aerial footage, the Perth crowd was close to 60,000, and 30,000 in Adelaide in the major cities. 15,000 Cairns, 1,000 plus in Townsville. So it was huge turnout nationwide. Now, we had a campaign against the freedom marches during the week, the Occupy Spring Street activists, as part of the Kill the Bill campaign. The bill is, well, on ice at the moment. It'll come before the Victorian Parliament again on November 30th, after former Andrews government Labor minister, now independent Upper House MLC, Adam Somniak, spectacularly returned to Parliament to vote it down. And we had during the week Dan Andrews do his most to demonise freedom activists and extremists. And after this, I'll bring in Margo. Trigger warning, this is Dan Andrews at his most divisive and angry.
Politics is often about what you stand for, and it's always about who you stand with. Imagine if the Premier of this state had to manage a pandemic like we've had to manage these last 2 years, if you were beholden to extremists, if you somehow owed extremists a debt of gratitude. That is ugly. That is scary. So at some point you have to say, right, we've listened to a broad range of views. We have a set of arrangements that are a definite. Even the greatest critic of this bill, I think, would accept that it's a better set of arrangements than the current Public Health and Wellbeing Act. There are checks and balances that are far in excess of what exists at the moment. This is a public health and wellbeing amendment. It's about pandemic management. It's about safety. It's about saving lives. A couple of weeks ago, the very same people who were saying we don't need to do this were calling for us to do this. It's the very definition of a political game. People who have railed against because they thought it was in their political interests, bureaucrats making these decisions, calling, demanding that politicians make these decisions, and when a bill's put into the parliament to achieve exactly that, precisely that, the opposition are somehow concerned it should go back to bureaucrats. It is quite concerning to me, just as a matter of logic and fact, to have people protesting against a lockdown. There is no lockdown. Why? Because instead of listening to some people standing out on the front steps who say don't get vaccinated, 9 in 10 Victorians have gone and got vaccinated.
And I'll bring in Margo now. You need to unmute yourself, Margo. And you need to adjust your camera.
Yeah, got it.
God, that was when I was playing that clip of dictator despot Dan, you were having a boomer tech moment, but you managed to understand my instruction.
Oh my gosh, this is so weird.
What's weird?
I'm watching myself on the desktop on the YouTube, and there's a bit of a lag, so I can't.
Well,
look at
there
that.
always is on live YouTube. So yeah, if it's going to put you off to look at yourself,
it's putting me off.
Krisha, what do you mean? Wilmsfront brought to you by Tim Jong-un's new commie shirt series. That's what I'm wearing. That a communist shirt. I don't know. It's just one of my usual show shirts. I've probably worn it before on a previous episode.
Oh my gosh.
I see Savnek, who now has the name Savnek Pureblood, says, "Evening, fellow anti-vaxxer extremists." Well, not everybody who was there on Saturday was unvaxxed. I mean, I was there, and I'm double vaxxed. And Dan Andrews, he's said, these anti-vax extremists and whatever else, the media fill in the blanks for him, calling them, neo-Nazi white supremacists who incite political violence. He said it takes away from the 9 in 10 eligible Victorians who have got vaccinated. First of all, it's because he forced them to get vaccinated. Otherwise, they would lose their jobs, get locked out of most businesses like you are at the moment. And also, he seems to assume that because 9 out of 10 eligible Victorians got vaccinated like he forced them to, they just all want to vote for him at the next year's state election.
Sorry, Tim, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me. The audience can hear me.
Now I can hear you.
Yeah. But yes,
keep dropping out.
Krishko says more jabbed will come when they realize they need 10 boosters. Well, definitely the third shot or the booster will be mandated because, Israel has flattened its curve again with its mandatory booster rollout to keep your green pass green. And the mainland European countries, their new waves are being partly blamed on because they haven't rolled out the boosters. Can you not hear me?
I can't hear you. You just dropped out again. Sorry.
Well, I'm not dropping out for the audience. They can all hear me, so it must be something wrong with your audio setup.
You're cutting out again, Tim. Sorry.
It must be your internet.
How's it my internet?
Well, because if there was technical issues on my end, which is the streaming end, then I'm sure the audience would complain. I mean, Savnek, Crescio, Senator Slayer, Naughty Design, Colin would all let me know.
Thanks, Colin. I can hear you at times, but then you keep dropping out.
Okay, well, share your thoughts from Saturday.
Okay. All right. Where do I start? I arrived late, and I happened to find myself in the middle of the Antifa rally. And yeah, so I thought I'll take some footage of that. There weren't many people. I'd say, well, I estimated about 100, but I'm hopeless with estimations. People say there were about 500, but
1,000.
sorry.
They claimed over 1,000.
Yeah, no way. Not 1,000. Maybe 1,000 police officers. I think there were more police officers at their rally than there were protesters. It was like an illegal anti-vaxxer rally. That's how dismal the attendance was.
And despite the fact that they, ordered all their attendees to their anti-freedom, pro-mandate, pro-lockdown rally, and also mandate that they wear masks, there has been a positive case that has come out of the anti-freedom rally. The campaign against racism and fascism said that one of the sound technicians had tested positive. He was at the start of the rally setting up the PA, but didn't go to the march. He was at the end of the debrief, which they held in Trades Hall, which is indoors. Wonder if they still had their masks on during the debrief there. He did not contract COVID at the protest. Are they doing their own, contact tracing there? Do they know that for sure? Well, there is low risk of transmission given participants were fully vaccinated, wearing masks, and the action was outdoors. We take COVID seriously and think it's important people know and have the opportunity to get tested if they're concerned. We have contacted the speakers at the start of the demo and people we know who spent any time with a technician. Well, it looks like it's still too dangerous for these people who are still so scared of COVID to gather. They really need to revise their COVID safe protocols if they're ever going to hold a rally again. If only they'd ordered all their attendees to have rapid antigen tests and provide a negative test result on arrival, then this whole cluster could have been avoided. I mean, for people like them catching COVID, it's like worse than Ebola, AIDS, cancer combined.
That's right. I'm surprised they even came out at all, Tim. I mean, if you're that scared of catching a cold, just stay home. Like, why bother to come out in the first place?
Mel is saying that I'm glitching now.
Hey, Mel.
Mel, of course, is from Brisbane, where at the Brisbane rally, Big Clive Palmer, chairman of the United Australia Party, made an appearance. Scott Morland, who's an Aussie patriot and war veteran, he was there. He said that Clive. I asked him how was Clive, and he said very fat.
Well, that's obvious in his YouTubes. It's a shame, though, that he's so overweight.
Well, it's body positivity, Margo.
Yeah, I just think if you're going to be like a I don't know, like a high profile person, look the part. I mean, I'm not perfect, but I'm not obese. Sorry, Clive.
Well, you're still probably most likely going to vote for the United Australia Party at the next federal election. Craig Kelly, who's now the party leader, he was at the Sydney Freedom Rally. He was at Melbourne last weekend because, he said Dan's black shirts stole his private medical records when they raided the office of Dr. Mark Hobart.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me now, Margo?
Yes, I can hear you. I heard that. I don't know what to say about that.
But we had in Victoria, we had 3 upper house MLCs present. I think Catherine Cummings, independent, made an impromptu speech. I'm not sure if none of us really heard the speeches because it was so packed. Flagstaff Gardens, impossible to get up the front. But David Limbrick and Tim Quilty of the Liberal Democrats were there. But there was no Victorian Liberal Party MPs since they were banned from attending because they fell for what I call the medicing incident on Friday afternoon. So this was our report, which we published earlier today. We also just published on the Unshackled YouTube channel our highlights package. Andy Nolch was live streaming throughout the day. So this is what Andy Medic claimed on Friday afternoon, that he said, like many others, I've been desperately worried about the comments, threats, and intimidation that have been leveled at my family as well as my staff and colleagues. Now my worst fears have turned into reality. Last night, my beautiful daughter, Keelan, was attacked on the street. I was with her in hospital till the early hours. My deepest gratitude is those nearby who helped her when she was most in. Indeed, she'll be back, but it would take time. I have reason to believe that this could be linked to my role as MP and the positions I've taken on the pandemic. But the police later said that investigators have been told a 25-year-old woman was spray painting over a poster in Smith Street in Fitzroy when she was approached by an unknown man. They barred an argument before the woman threw the spray can towards, and then as she attempted to leave the scene, obviously missing, the man followed the woman and threw the spray can, which struck her in the back of the head. The man left the scene as staff from a nearby venue rendered assistance to the woman before she entered hospital for treatment for minor injuries. And this Andy Medic's statement was retweeted without question by the Liberal state leader, Matthew Guy. He said, "This is awful news. This behaviour should be condemned in the strongest possible terms. To target an MP's family in this way is sickening." There is still no evidence that Andy Medic's daughter, Keelan, was targeted because of her father's politics, as if anyone would recognize a politician's child on the streets randomly.
Exactly. And the fact that she was vandalizing as well, like, wouldn't you be embarrassed if you were a politician to even admit that's your daughter?
Yes. She was spray painting over some what was termed anti-vax graffiti, which was probably an advertisement for the Worldwide Freedom Rally, which is not an anti-vax event, and was asked by Dan Andrews apologist Raphael Epstein on the ABC, "Why was your daughter carrying a spray can with her?" and says, "Oh, she's an artist."
Seriously?
Yeah. And her Twitter account has now been deactivated. But in terms of, because Andy Medic, he's been the most banging on the most about the various, or what he claims various threats he's received, calling on Matthew Guy and the Liberals to denounce people opposed to the bill because they're apparently all responsible for whatever rando send stuff to his office, like the herpes condom last week. Some have actually suspected, given this Medicking incident, it's named after Smoletting. That could have been a hoax, the condom letter.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Or it could just be a lie. Have they got proof? It was, yeah, I don't know.
Well, this is what his daughter had tweeted previously on a now deactivated Twitter account. The only way to beat a Nazi in the marketplace of ideas is with a crowbar until their two brain cells leak out.
See, why is it okay for them to be so feral in the things they want to do to anyone who has a different opinion to them? And then if one of us, someone from our side says anything like that, it would be incitement, wouldn't it? Or
well, what's the saying? If the left didn't have double standards, they'd have no standards. This was another
That's
tweet.
right.
Stay indoors, except for whoever kills Pell. You can stay out to perform a public service. Pell,
see,
who
that's so
was
bad.
Cardinal George Pell, who was exonerated by the High Court, found innocent. And then this because she's a transgender individual, male to female Killen, and Andy Medic's other child is a female to male transgender now son.
Oh
So
my
this was
gosh.
Killen replying to a tweet from a CARF, a trans-excludingly radical feminist. So they said, also blocking now because as a female, I have the right not to interact with abusive males. And Killen says, again, female, suck my girl dick.
That's disgusting. How are people like that allowed to go into government, into politics even? That's just disgusting.
Well, that's Andy Medic's daughter, but
Yeah, but
it's
still,
it's a reflection on the father that he
for
raised
sure.
a daughter who speaks like that.
It's disgusting.
Now,
I've never even heard of the medics before that incident. I don't know, like, are they famous? Because I've never heard of them before.
He's one of Dan's three stooges, the Animal Justice Party MP. Dan Andrews, he relied on the three stooges, him, Fiona Patten of the Reason Party, who endorsed the anti-freedom rally on Saturday, Samantha Ratnam, leader of the Victorian Greens. The Three Stooges, they voted through Dan's two previous extensions for the state of emergency.
So, Dan clones.
And so obviously the Liberals, I include. I'm paraphrasing what we said in the article. They cucked at the very last minute, basically disavowing all the freedom activists, banning their MPs from attending. So clearly they don't want the votes or support of 1 in 20 Victorians, and actually now offering to collude with the Andrews government to pass a permanent pandemic bill.
Hi, Andy.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. Hi.
Howdy. I haven't been listening to what you've been talking about. I just finished up yoga.
We're just talking about how the Victorian Liberals they cucked over the Medicking hoax at the end of the week and decided to disavow all the freedom activists and ban their MPs from attending.
All right.
Yeah, I think yeah, sorry, Andy. I think I was just going to say before you came in, the Liberal Party, it's no surprise that they've cucked yet again. They're always cucking. And why would you cuck? I mean, this was the Animal Justice Party that got abused and attacked, yeah? Was it Animal Justice Party? Sorry, I forgot. The medics, are they part of the Animal Justice Party?
Well, the father, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
he's,
So the father is, but yeah. So the daughter got attacked. So the Liberal Party banned all their members from going to the Freedom Rally. That's ridiculous. Like, I don't know.
So that's really what happened, because it sounds unbelievable.
And we had late on Friday evening, the Australian newspaper released a news poll for because on the Victorian political landscape since the state election is in approximately a year's time, which showed that basically Dan Andrews and the Labor Party are in the same landslide leading in the same landslide election win territory that they were in 2018, 58 to 42 two-party preferred. But after the Liberal Party's end to the week, like they're not much better than Dan if they're willing cuck, because basically Dan gaslighted them into and said that they were supporting extremists, and then they back down. And what do they really stand for? And now they're offering to collude with the Andrews government to implement these laws. Like,
Yeah, that's why I hope the United Australia Party will do something at the next election. Honestly, like, the Liberal Party is no different to the Labor Party. They've done nothing this whole time. They're still doing nothing, and they're useless.
Yeah, they're just watered down. They're watered down lefties.
That's it.
And the nerve of ScoMo last week to claim, after he basically enabled the vaccine passports by creating the Medicare ID digital certificates back in June, saying that we're not in favor of mandatory vaccinations, should get rid of all these vaccine passports. He was mainly going after Queensland. The Queensland state government. Oh, what? Now you've all of a sudden got a bit of a backbone. It was only because he's got the he had there were 5 coalition senators who voted for Pauline Hanson's no vaccine passports bill. It was Jared Rennick from Queensland, Alex Antic from South Australia. They both said they'd withhold their votes until this vaccine mandate issue was addressed. Conchita Fierravanti-Wells from New South Wales, Matt Canavan from Queensland, and outgoing Northern Territory Senator Sam McMahon. But Pauline Hanson and Malcolm Roberts actually couldn't vote for their own bill because they're banned from the ACT because they're not vaccinated, like banned from actually going to represent the people of the state.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. That was a lot, Tim. All I can say is that ScoMo, after sitting back and allowing all those state premiers to just do what they want this whole time throughout the pandemic, now he's coming out and trying to, I don't know, what's he doing? Trying to appease the people.
Yeah, he's trying to like win votes, maybe,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure. He's just
actually it's really right.
It's hot air again.
When's the election? The national election?
Next year,
it'll be in the first half of next year, so between March and May. Parliament's sitting this week, so there was a question time today where Albo basically put forward that Labor Party is pretty much united in its support for vaccine mandates and passports.
Yeah, it's just such typical timing that, like, just before the election, he starts to look after people's freedoms to try and win some votes, and but the crucial times during that big lockdowns last year and the big one this year, he didn't really do much.
Mm. That's right.
Well, he's worried about the base, the liberal conservative base, who they've been in New South Wales. They were particularly angry over the Berejiklian Barilaro New South Wales lockdown. New Premier Dominic Perrottet. We can't. I wouldn't hold my breath that he's going to bring the vaxxed and unvaxxed together on December 15th. They're now worried about One Nation, United Australia Party, and Liberal Democrats. They're base healing off to all of these three parties that have never supported lockdowns or vaccine mandates. Yes, there is local government elections in New South Wales on, I think, Saturday, December the 5th. No, 4th. Yeah, it'll be 4th because it's a Saturday. Colin, you'd be able to tell me, because you're in New South Wales. Don't mean to dox you. If what's the rule on are the unvaxxed allowed to vote in person, or do they have to mail and vote? They're banned from polling places.
Who knows?
Federal government has been busy handing out 200,000 visas. Yes, well, we had Scott Morrison said that a skilled temporary visa holders would be allowed to visas. Who's going on? Who was that then?
Sorry, that would have been me. I think I put that next to the desktop mic. Got that going.
Okay.
What were you saying?
I was saying that basically, from December 1, opening up to all the relevant visa categories, international students and refugees, and this is what Dom Perrottet tweeted today. He said, "No matter where you've come from or where you're born, New South Wales is the state of opportunity. I'm backing increasing migration in a COVID-safe way to fill the labour shortages facing businesses all across New South Wales." Which I think it was, it might have, I can't recall which commentator it was I saw say this. It's basically because they fired all the unvaxxed Australians, so they're importing the vaxxed foreigners. And also it's because, wages are so high because there's so many jobs in demand with the reopening. In the Rockpool Bar and Grill, it is paying dishwashers $90 an hour on Friday and Saturday nights because you have to be double vaxxed to get get a job there. But it just shows that the demand for workers is seeing wages high, and apparently that's not acceptable. So you've got to start importing the workers again to depress the wages. And I would also say, if you're vaxxed and are still unemployed, you've got no excuse. There are pretty much there's heaps of companies that are pretty much offering now hiring you and training on the same day. It's like the old day before the Seek and resume ones. You can literally walk into a business that needs workers now, and as long as you don't look like a creep, you can get the job.
Yeah, that's right. I'd be surprised if there was anyone out there double jabbed and still unemployed. That's why would you even get double jabbed if you're if you don't have a job? I mean, that's the only reason anyone would get double jabbed.
Ask the lefties. I'm sure there's lots of lefties that are unemployed and they're double jabbed.
Yeah, that's true. That's likely true.
I think it's shocking. Well, I mean, it's not shocking. Like, we thought it was coming, but what's happening with Austria and Europe going into another lockdown. it's good to know for sure. It's not a good thing, but it's good to know for sure that they are not going to let this go away. Like they're just not going to stop this.
Yeah, it's never going to end.
It's like global warming.
Yeah.
Well,
It is. It's climate change.
This was Vienna today in Austria during
No
on Saturday.
way. Are you serious?
That's huge.
That is like
their
whoa.
national lockdown today. And
I reckon what happened on Saturday is if we had an area like that, we might have had that amount of number of people. We probably would, I reckon.
Yeah,
I
for
played
sure.
the drone footage earlier, which showed the aerial shot from flat. I think I've got another one of just a still photo. Let's see if I can find it. Oh yeah, here he is. Here, this is a still photo from outside Victoria's Parliament House on Spring Street where the march began. Look, literally, you can't fit it in. You couldn't fit it in. Like, there's all those people outside Parliament House, and they're going up Burke Street there.
Yeah, I wonder how much further the march went on from that photo.
I know.
I
like how it's a cross. It's a cross.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Interesting. When I looked at a few mainstream media things, and I didn't see many aerial shots. I think because maybe it would blow their 10,000 or whatever. They're making out like there's 10 or 20.
Dan's PR guy 17 bot was saying. In fact, the PR guy that Twitter account is so is in such a spin out because finding it really hard to spin anything negative about the rally on Saturday because there was nobody carrying nooses or gallows or anything. Although the PR guy said, there was a QAnon signs and signs against satanic child ritual abuse. Now, when people say that, look, that there's these extreme anti-pedophile signs there, it's sort of like it's quite perplexing that sort of these like that you can be considered too extremely against pedophilia.
Yeah, I think people are. Yeah, it's a bit weird. I just think that there's like many problems going on, but like I don't really care about pedophilia. It's like I just want to be able to walk into a shop.
It's a terrible thing. But the point that I'm making is like things such as the child sex trafficking tunnels. Yeah, obviously they don't exist, but I think it is ridiculous to ridicule people who are campaigning, even if they are misguided, against mass child sex abuse.
Yeah, look, I think we're fighting for freedom. Let's keep the issues separate.
Yeah, relevant. I think it's a distraction.
Yeah.
I think that they're trying to distract us, and I think it relates to the whole QAnon thing because the QAnon thing had a big pedophile vibe to it. It was like a way to distract it, and I think that for people who haven't been red pilled, it's too high a gradient for them. It sort of is like what the fuck, Satanistic ritual abuse. So then they stay away from like anti-vax ideas because it's like too like what the hell.
Yeah, so, and we look extreme. It makes all of us look
what
weird.
I'm saying is that's all that the PR guide could point to discredit rallies, and they've also continued to bang on about what is it? I've just been alerted that there's a super chat from Senator Slayer for $3 Australian, which says, "Can we get Marg's OnlyFans, please?"
I don't have an OnlyFans, Neil.
Well, OnlyFans, they're what is it? In the process of kicking off all the degenerates off their platform. So I'm not sure what it'll be used for post that now, because it's only known as a platform for degenerates to make some quick money.
Exactly. Do I
yeah.
look degenerate to you, Neil?
Maybe Neil, like he just wants maybe just like a what is it? Nice wholesome new age OnlyFans, since they're moving into
a traditional conservative only thing.
That's a good idea. That's such a great idea.
You'd be like, I'll undo one button, and we have like one of those ones up there. You know, one more for. No, but
I'll go on OnlyFans.
I reckon that's hot though. Like when girls wear like skimpy clothes and that, it doesn't look as hot as when it, like, you know what I mean, when they're wearing traditional clothes.
Well, there was a lot of attractive people at the Freedom rally on the weekend, because all the fat and weird looking ladies, they were at the anti-freedom protest, where you couldn't tell how they were because they had masks over their faces. Maybe that was a good thing, but there were these two. There was this sign from this girl looking for unvaxxed dick, and then there was a guy with a shirt, unvaccinated sperm available here. And so
match made in heaven. That's funny.
Because remember, there was that banner from the Kill the Bill rally the week before about unvaccinated sperm being the new Bitcoin.
I mean, have these protests turned into the new Tinder?
Especially with the rave parties.
Those rave parties on Parliament House steps, like. The parliamentary whorehouse is extended outward onto the steps.
Oh no! These what is that? There's nothing degenerate that's going on at the on the outdoor nightclub outside Parliament House. That's been that's been well, is it every night that they're having the outdoor nightclub with the DJing there? I think we've got night. I've got some footage. I think it was Friday night. They were also back there Saturday night after the rally had finished, back there for a nightclub dance.
It's cool.
Waiting to happen.
It's like, I want to do a live. Who needs? Go.
I'm going to be doing I think a live stream tomorrow night. If there's a rave on.
Yeah, do it. Who needs to visit the clubs when you've got that rave party? Open air. Yeah. It's free. Yeah. Free pizza.
And the location. What was there? More pizzas? Was there free pizzas? Was there?
I think so. There's free pizzas all night, isn't there? Every night, like people just keep ordering pizza.
There was there when we were down there last Tuesday. I might be heading back down there tomorrow night to check out if there's still people there and if the DJ is back there. But if we do a live stream there tomorrow night, Andy, then the audience, I think they might be taken a bit back by my awful dancing and singing.
Good.
But what is it? I've got another clip here because what is it? Yeah, Pauline Hanson's no mandatory vaccination bill was voted down, and one of the hysterical opponents was, well, one of the people who's fixated on me and the rest of the Patriot movement, Christina Keneally, Labor's Shadow Home Affairs spokeswoman.
We don't get to talk about Senator McCann's bill. We don't get to talk about Senator McKenzie's bill. We get to talk about Senator Hansen's bill because he is doing a wink and a nod and a dog whistle to extremist elements. That same prime minister who can't call out and condemn unequivocally threats of violence and assassination against elected leaders in this country is here today allowing these same extremist elements to run their same arguments.
And Christina Keneally is the MP who, because she's trying to switch to the lower house, who keeps accidentally running into CCP front group while campaigning.
Christina Keneally. She sounds like a little girl.
Yeah, she does sound like a teenage girl or something.
She does. She's got that voice. Like, I don't know.
But which brings me to what is it? The next point that I want to raise. We had the super chat from Neil, Slack Bastard, and I think the PR guy as well. And there was a few other Twitter accounts highlighting that, look, Neil Erickson and Blair Cottrell are there, and they're allowed to be there, not kick out. As if you could kick out people from a public place in Flagstaff. I mean, that's something that Dan's Victor Police henchmen do. But it was a diverse crowd. There was patriot activists like Neil and Blair there. There was, Asian Australians such as yourself, Margo. There was Greeks, Turks, Muslims, Jews. We got a free water from an Asian couple who were giving it out to attendees.
Yeah, I didn't get my free water, unfortunately.
What? Yeah, I got one in front of you. You could have got one.
I know. I totally missed it. Doesn't matter. Next time, maybe. But I was surprised there were hardly any police officers there. What? Did you see any police officers at that rally?
Well, they were just there to direct traffic and to also keep for our protection the angry anti-freedom socialist communists at bay. And we saw like how aggro they were when Rukshan and Avi showed up. What is it? They also think now, because of Neil's troll in video bombing one of Rukshan's live streams, that Rukshan and Neil are mates, even though that's the only time that they've seen each other in person, and Neil's been trolling that he and Rukshan are close on his Telegram channel. They know, these socialists, that Neil trolls all the time, but they hope that their audience on Twitter are stupid enough to fall for it. And what was it today? There was a fake Rukshan account that super chatted on one of Neil and Blair's live streams, and what does they say? See, Rukshan, he donated.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious that they fell for Neil's troll. I mean, any excuse to demonize our side, really. It doesn't take much.
Well, Neil originally, reached out to you, Andy, about 3 years ago because cause a feminist mass trauma event by just an act of vandalism on a memorial to a murder victim, Eurydice Dixon, but we've already explained that it was a political message. But the fact that the people viewed you as just as bad as the murderer for just a spray can spraying in a park. Well, you've got that in common with Andy Medic's daughter with a spray can in a public place. But that's the point that I'm making, is that it's because it was your basic you, by doing just like this act of vandalism, people a lot of people were more outraged by what you did. They probably remember your name more than the actual guy who's ringing out for the horrific murder.
I know, and when he had his court case, he didn't have some lefties rock up and, I don't know, hold up a sign or whatever like they did to me. So, yeah, I think Neil was a bit jealous that I beat him to it.
Well, I think he once stole the microphone at a refugee rally to say that the refugees were rapists. I mean, that was incredible that he was able to just walk over to a rally there and take the microphone, because before the left decided that they were COVID was because COVID was too dangerous to protest at all. They held rallies all the time. It's interesting how the same people who support the climate marches and the vegan marches, which disrupt the city all the time, had the nerve to complain, oh, they're blocking traffic in the city.
Mm.
But yes, now I lost my place here.
Well, the vibe was nice at the Neil just made a comment about my balls. Anyway, it was nice. Nah.
Andy, when you did that, when you drew that thing, did you know the consequences of your actions? Did you know that you were going to go to jail?
It was kind of planned that that I would get caught, sort of.
Oh, okay.
That was part of it, so I could speak to the media, actually. And some of the first things I did talk about with the media was I just said vaccines cause autism. It was like an attempt to sort of get in the media.
That's what that was your response, that you did it because vaccines. I won't repeat it because it could get this this video taken down.
Yeah, well, the person who did the murder seemed to have been vaccine damaged, I reckon. So, we'll leave it at that.
You have no evidence of that. That's just a theory.
Yeah,
speculation.
I think it's likely.
Speaking of,
most likely, though, yeah.
Because what is that? Nobody knows the vaccine status of all the people who attended the Freedom March, but there's been no positive cases traced to the Freedom March, except for the anti-Freedom March, even though they were all vaccinated. Maybe it was Rukshan and I know Rukshan and Avi vaccine status, but maybe them just going over there because they're around unvaccinated activists. Maybe Rukshan and Avi had superpowers that they had this super ability that they got it from the unvaccinated at the Freedom Rally, and when they were near the anti-freedom activists, they gave it to them and created a cluster.
So there was some positive cases from the pro-vax rally.
Well, there's one case at the moment. We'll see if any more emerge.
Wow.
Mm.
Oh yeah, I was going to say I like the vibe of the protest, and I think it's good to be around like-minded people, and I think that I think that when you get a mass of people together, when like where a lot of them aren't lefties, then it feels good. It's got good vibes to it. So it would have been interesting to try and sneak into the leftist rally to see what the vibes felt like there.
Well, I walked past. It wasn't. There was hardly any vibe when I walked past. It was just. I think they're just so used to attending rallies, and there was no real. I mean, no real cause, really. I mean, they just wanted to.
Well, they privately they would be really taken aback by just how much it's ballooned the freedom movement organically over the past 20 months. It's grown more in 2021 because you remember like when protests, public protests were lawful in between in lockdowns. Like it wasn't until after the 5th and 6th Victorian lockdown that it wasn't just the dedicated activists who turned up all the time, like, you know, Monica Schmidt and Rafael Fernandez. It is like there's so many more people now. Like at freedom rallies early in the year, you could, you know, go up to somebody like Monica and Raphael, like you could approach them, but like you couldn't find anybody. Like there was just so many people.
I think I liked the protests when they were quiet and you could really approach people. But no, it's good to see them grow. To have grown this big, it's amazing. I remember the first protest, Mother's Day 2020. That was the first illegal protest ever. And there were, I'd say, roughly 100 protesters. And, you know, twice as many police officers. And it was very intimidating. And to see what it was like on Saturday, that was huge. It was very encouraging. And, yeah, let's hope these protests do something.
Can I address this comment that's been made about what change will these protests bring about, right? Yeah, the politicians are sellouts and they're not responding to us. And they can pass whatever laws they want, they can do whatever the hell they want. But it's about us reaching the people out there and making them one of us. And then that will give us freedom. So that's why it's meaningful, because it's a big propaganda event. It's saying this is our group of freedom, and that we've got huge numbers, and come join us and start, you know, respecting people's freedoms. And so that's why I'm going to be going to them like every week, so that, you know, the word keeps on getting spread. And then when I walk into a shop, I won't have problems. Basically, that's the aim.
Because there's no, like, the stupidest criticism of the freedom marches, why they, you know, protesting when there's no lockdown. We're not back to normal. I mean, there's masks in a lot of settings. Your lot of most, we still have these stupid QR codes, even in the supermarket and the 7-Elevens.
And I don't like it. Yeah, and I don't like how when you're inside a place and then they've got a check-in for a place that's inside a place, and you're like, oh, come on, just like back off. It's just so stupid.
Well, what is it? At Shadston, they even have, what is it, QR codes on the toilets. Like,
yes.
What is it? So
isn't that every place? Isn't that Shadston? Like lots of other places have that?
Yeah. Like public toilets have got QR codes on them. I thought that only creeps whipped out their camera phone near bathrooms.
Yeah, that's creepy.
It's just annoying. And I don't like the mask either. I've tried masks before because I work amongst leaves, so in springtime and that, you know, like I've experimented with masks before COVID, and they're annoying. They're, you know, the problems and stuff. I've never been into masks.
Well, like these, what is it? Because there's these mask zealots who still, what is it? They advocate a vaccine plus strategy, which basically includes plus all the restrictions that we had pre the vaccine. Which begs the point: what's the point of the vaccine if you're just going to advocate? What is that? Still lockdowns and masks, and what is it? Like these mask. Katie Hopkins calls them the mask perverts. They're the people who drive around in their car with masks on. But the fact they also advocate for double and triple masking, and of course, most statistically want to mask young children and think they should be kicked out of school, kicked off planes. I just got a news alert from the Herald Sun, who, well, they've got a report that apparently when vaccines approved for primary school children, that's why they still have to wear masks under Dan Andrews' government, that they might have vaccine passports for 5 to 11-year-olds.
Yeah, no, I'm not masking any of my children. Forget it. That's ridiculous. If everyone's double jabbed, I mean, we've achieved 90%, I think, double jabbed. Why would we mask children who are the most resilient?
Because they can't be vaccinated. What is that? They call children, what is it, virus vectors now. Like it seems like children aren't even like human beings anymore. They're just, what is it? Because everything's around COVID. They're just some people, they just see an unvaccinated child and see, what is it, a coronavirus on their head.
Just, all those people who are scared to die from coronavirus should just stay home. Like, why is their health our responsibility?
Exactly.
Anyway, just, although I don't want to be a skeptic, guys, I really don't think these protests are going to do anything. I believe we are in the end times, and things aren't going back to normal. I don't know.
I think we should take what is that? We should take comfort, or also be happy that we have seen the biggest ever protest in Melbourne be for freedom. It even was bigger than Saturday was even bigger than all the actual it's normally the communists in Melbourne who can get thousands of people there. That rally even communist records. For sure. It's a massive white pill. And also a massive white pill was that the US justice system is not dead yet. Obviously, there's still the January 6th prisoners that, QAnon Sherman got, was at 41 months in prison for just walking into the Capitol. Those two New York Proud Boys who got 2 years for defending themselves against Antifa. And Kyle Rittenhouse, he, had to shoot in self-defense 3 Antifa criminals to make sure that they wouldn't beat him and bludgeon him to death. And people have made the point, imagine just shooting 3 Antifa BLM people, rioters, and just managing to hit 3 criminals. And so tomorrow night, Tucker Carlson tonight is airing a exclusive with Kyle Rittenhouse, and this is the preview.
I tell everybody there what happened. I said I had to do it. I was just attacked. I was dizzy. I was vomiting. I couldn't breathe. This case has nothing to do with race. It never had anything to do with race. It had to do with the right to self-defense.
Right.
I'm not a racist person. I support the BLM movement. I support peacefully demonstrating. And I believe there needs to be change. I believe there's a lot of prosecutorial misconduct, not just in my case, but in other cases. And it's just amazing to see how much a prosecutor can take advantage of somebody.
Did you all see that prosecutor conduct at what was his name again? That Thomas Binger, that was his name, and how he, what is that? In his closing argument, he pointed a AK. Was it AR or AK-15 gun? He pointed it at the jury with his hand on the trigger,
I didn't
which
see that.
yeah, which is that's insane. He was holding the gun wrong, and you don't hold a gun with a finger on the trigger, whether it's loaded or unloaded. I mean, after Alec Baldwin, that shooting incident. But yes, it was also a massive white pill that Kyle was found not guilty. It is now a legal fact that a matter of law that Kyle Rittenhouse did nothing wrong, and to call him a murderer is defamatory. And the fact that Black Lives Matter activists upset at this, because he shot 3 white people. White supremacist who shot only white people is found not guilty, but is still a racist for shooting only white people.
Yeah, I can't believe they were in such an uproar, made it a racial issue. I mean, they were all white.
The riots in Kenosha were triggered because the police didn't shoot dead, but I think they disabled a black man who was a criminal who they suspected was getting a gun. Now, there's obviously there was a lot of online threats of violence against Kyle, the judge, and the jury. It's so brave of the jury to come to the correct decision despite all the threats of violence and threats. How come the Democrats were never asked to condemn all of these Antifa BLM threats against Kyle, the judge, and jury, and all these revenge threats? Because now there is a suspected revenge attack. We don't know, but let's just take the Andy Meek jump to conclusions position here. So in Waukesha, Wisconsin, so same state as Kenosha, this man here. Go further down here. This isn't loading properly. This is the Daryl E. Brooks. This is from the millennial Andy No. So this career criminal Daryl E. Brooks, it actually only been released from custody a couple of days ago. He was bailed prior to the incident after posting $1,000 bail from 3 misdemeanors and 2 felonies. Has a history of resisting arrest, obstruction, battery, statutory, sexual seduction, strangulation, suffocation, domestic violence, registered sex offender. He was the driver of an SUV that plowed into a Christmas parade that injured 40 people and killed 5. Now, given that President Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they basically said that the jury got it wrong, this was an injustice. They don't they have a responsibility to denounce this? I mean, because they've been basically largely silent.
Yeah, well, they would have a responsibility, but they wouldn't denounce it, obviously, for obvious reasons. I actually wonder, would he have been found not guilty if he had murdered black criminals?
Oh.
If the people he killed weren't white, I wonder if he would have been found not guilty.
I would
I don't
all
want to think
recommend
about it, but
you watch Mark the not guilty verdict, because he goes through all hypotheticals to say, look, here's an example of this person being guilty or reversed. So I'll include that link into the show notes page. But the reason I mention, well, it's horrific that, just innocent people, like, it wasn't a political event at all. It was, well, some people think that celebrating Christmas is a political statement, but it was a Christmas parade. And was it just, they're just mowed down for what? Because they live in the same state as Kyle Rittenhouse. But all this talk of they're condemning political violence and terrorism. The most recent horrific acts of political violence, they've all come from non-right-wing terrorists. I mean, there is going to be the funeral tomorrow for Sir David Amos, that UK Conservative MP who was stabbed 17 times at a constituent open meeting by a Somali refugee. There was also the Islamist terror attack outside Liverpool Women's Hospital, where the suicide bomb went off actually in the taxi who was dropping him off. The taxi driver managed to survive, but thankfully the terrorist, he was killed. But that could, like, attacking a women's hospital. And then we have what looks like a politically motivated, a mass car attack. It reminded me of remember the Nice terror attack in Paris in 2016, where Nicholas drove a truck into the Bastille Day celebrators?
I don't remember that.
Well, you should remember it because
vaguely, I think 2016. I don't.
Well, I think we should wrap it up now, because Tim's News Explosion is only supposed to go far. We've gone an hour and 15 minutes. So thanks for joining me, Andy, and so what is that? Magical superpowers of the unvaxxed didn't give me COVID.
Yeah.
As we were talking about before.
Yeah.
You're still alive, Tim.
Yeah, I am.
And
I
you're
feel
well,
perfectly
alive
fine.
and well.
What is it? The Herald Sun, which is that's supposedly far right newspaper. They're basically reporting on every celebrity who now gets COVID. Was it Jonathan Brown, former AFL footballer? He got COVID, my God. And what is it? So did Melbourne socialite, Toddy Goldsmith, even though she tested negative on a rapid test. My God. This is really big news. And well, because it was peaceful and a massive crowd on Saturday, the Sunday Herald Sun, their lead story was a former Australian cricket captain Tim Paine's penis picture.
Yeah, I know. That was and there was, I think there was maybe some mention of the protest, like all the way into the paper in like a tiny section. But
page 6. And they used photos that looked like there was arrest made, even though there was only one arrest made in the CBD all day.
Yeah. Yeah, they just own us and stuff, and
it's pretty pathetic.
Yeah,
that's why we've got you, Tim. We've got you, Tim, to speak the truth and
we need Tim's newspaper.
I'm beginning to think that the Herald Sun, even though they have all these headlines against Dan, they actually like him being the guy they love to hate, and it allows them to sell more newspapers, because what is it, if they didn't have like him to put on their front page, then like if it was all sunshine and lollipops, which is nothing more than I'd love. I mean, all our lives would be better if Dan Andrews was not the premier of our state, but the Herald Sun might sell too many newspapers. And don't forget, the Herald Sun, they've been allowed to sell their newspaper in newsagents and supermarkets for the entire pandemic. None of their journalists have lost a cent throughout this pandemic. Naughty Designer said, can you catch this on Twitter? Are you talking about COVID? Twitter may not give you COVID, but it does contaminate you with other diseases. Yes, because what is it? Leftism is a
Retardation.
mental disorder, so yes, you're likely to get that. All right, thank you everyone for watching tonight. Thank you to all of those who watched Andy's live streaming on Saturday, and yeah, we might be doing one from the next impromptu dance nightclub out the front of Parliament House.
Yeah, I'm hoping tomorrow night. They've got it on tonight. I'm hoping tomorrow night it's on as well.
Should be.
Yeah, I think so.
We don't know if they're going to continue to have, the Worldwide Freedom Day, I think it's only once a month, but what is it? The Kill the Bill rallies, they've been happening every weekend for the past 3 weeks. So this was sort of the unofficial 4th Kill the Bill rally. It hasn't turned into a super spreader event. What is it? Cases keep going down since we've been reopening.
Yeah. Have they been going down?
Yeah,
yes.
I think so.
Okay.
Gradually. Very slowly.
Yeah,
Not like Sydney's went down quickly.
Well, that's because they opened with, was it 500 cases, and we opened up with 2,000 cases. Ours are still like roughly halved.
Oh,
but yeah, it just goes to show, what is it? To all these European nations who still think that, what is it, lockdowns work. What is it in like Melbourne? Dan locked down over 1 case. Then, when he didn't think cases were going down quick enough, for 26 cases, he introduced the curfew, playground ban, and the outdoor alcohol ban. And then cases peaked at 2,300. Our 6th lockdown was a complete and utter failure.
Did ours peak at 2,300?
Yeah, new daily cases.
Wow, it's pretty big. I thought it just got up to
Were they unvaccinated people getting tested, or were they vaxxed?
We don't know.
There were vaccinated people getting tested as well. I mean, what is it? The socialist alternative CARF people, they're getting tested, even though they've been. Maybe some of them have already been. Have got their booster as well.
Hypochondriacs.
So there might be another rally this weekend. I think Blair said last night that he'd because it was a white pilling experience for him, and he was. It's also being white pilling for him that over 200 people are watching him now on here on Senator Slayer's live streams. And also he can't believe that people still, watching and following him after all these years, and heaps of people recognized him on the weekend. People even recognized Senator Slayer, even though he wore a mask.
Well, they're famous.
But yes, thanks. They've got Wikipedia pages.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, thank you everyone for watching. There may be a Wilms from this Thursday evening, but there definitely will be a Trad Tasman talk this Friday, 6 p.m. with myself and Stephen Berry, the Kiwi migrant who came from Auckland to Melbourne. What is that? Yeah, Auckland. What is that? Well, just seemed to lock down the whole of New Zealand over one case in Auckland, the whole country. And what is that now? 3 months on, 200 cases on average, 200 new cases per day in Auckland and surrounds. So there you go. And don't forget to watch our highlights package from the weekend. And yeah, we'll continue to cover, well, the eternal the eternal vigilance for liberty. Because what is it? As we wrote in the article, the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. Because it could all happen all over again. I mean, if Dan Getty is Brew, do you really trust him when he says there'll be no more lockdowns because we have the vaccines now?
Yeah,
We'll see about that.
yeah. I just got a text from someone in Sydney, and there's going to be a protest this Saturday in Sydney.
Well, they're still segregated up there, so there is certainly still a lot of discrimination, and well, certainly not freedom there in New South Wales. All right, good night, everybody.
Good night. Good night, everyone.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys.
Tim's news explosion.
Thanks, Tim.
Tim's news explosion. 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 Tim's news explosion.